The champagne flute shattered against the polished granite floor, spraying crystal shards across the room like deadly confetti. Isabella's perfectly manicured hand was still extended, her face a mask of cold fury as she stared down at the trembling server who had accidentally brushed against her Valentino gown. "Clean it up," Isabella hissed, her voice like ice cutting through the chatter of New York's elite gathered in the penthouse's grand ballroom. "And then get out. You're fired." The young woman dropped to her knees, frantically picking up glass pieces with shaking fingers, blood beginning to bloom where the shards cut into her skin. No one moved to help her. No one dared. They all knew better than to interfere when Isabella Moretti was angry. She was the fiancée of Dante Romano, the most powerful crime boss on the East Coast, and she wielded that position like a weapon. "Isabella, darling," Dante's deep voice cut through the tension as he approached, his tailored midnight blue suit fitting his tall, muscular frame perfectly. His handsome face showed no emotion, but his dark eyes held a warning. "You're making a scene at our engagement party." Isabella's expression instantly transformed into a sweet smile, though her eyes remained cold. "I was simply addressing incompetence, my love. Surely you understand the importance of maintaining standards." From the kitchen doorway, hidden in the shadows, Zola watched the entire exchange with her heart pounding. She had arrived in New York just 3 days ago, desperate for work after her teaching position in Cape Town fell through. The agency had promised her a good job with excellent pay as a domestic worker for a wealthy American family. They hadn't mentioned that the family ran a criminal empire. "Remember why you're here," Zola whispered to herself, touching the small wooden cross pendant around her neck. She needed this job. Her mother's medical bills weren't going to pay themselves, and her siblings back home depended on the money she sent every month. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Higgins, appeared beside her, the older Irish woman's face stern. "You start tomorrow, 5 a.m. sharp. And listen carefully, girl. Keep your head down. Do your work and stay invisible, especially around Miss Isabella." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And whatever you do, don't look at Mr. Romano. That woman has ended people for less." Zola nodded, swallowing hard. "Yes, ma'am." But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Hey, beautiful souls, before we dive deep into this intense story of forbidden love, power, and revenge, I want to wish each and every one of you the most wonderful holiday season. May your days be filled with love, joy, and beautiful moments with those you cherish. Ensure you subscribe now, so you don't miss the daily drops of amazing stories. Now, grab your hot cider, get comfortable, and let me take you on an unforgettable journey. Trust me, you don't want to miss a single moment of this. The next morning, Zola's alarm buzzed at 4:30 a.m. She dressed quickly in the plain black uniform provided by the agency, her dark skin glowing against the crisp white collar. She pulled her thick natural hair into a neat bun and took a deep breath before leaving the small servants' quarters on the lower level of the mansion. The Romano estate was massive, a sprawling compound of modern architecture and classic Art Deco design elements that spoke of wealth beyond measure. As Zola made her way through the pre-dawn darkness, she could see armed guards stationed at various points, their presence a stark reminder of exactly what kind of household this was. Mrs. Higgins was already in the kitchen barking orders at the other staff members. "You new girl? Zola, was it?" "Yes, ma'am." "Take this breakfast tray to Mr. Romano's private study. 3rd floor, east wing. Knock twice. Wait for permission. Enter with your eyes down. Leave the tray on the side table and exit. Don't speak unless spoken to." Zola took the heavy silver tray, her hands steady despite her nervousness. She navigated the mansion's corridors, marveling despite herself at the priceless artwork adorning the walls. She found the study and knocked twice, her heart hammering. "Enter." The voice was deep, commanding. She pushed the door open with her hip, eyes obediently lowered, and stepped inside. The room smelled of expensive bourbon and old leather. She moved toward where she assumed the side table would be, but in her nervousness, she didn't see the corner of the ornate Persian rug that had flipped up. Zola stumbled, the tray tilting dangerously. Hot coffee began to spill, and she knew in that split second that she was about to destroy a very expensive carpet in a very dangerous man's study. Strong hands caught the tray, steadying it and her. She gasped, looking up instinctively, and found herself staring into the darkest, most intense eyes she had ever seen. Dante Romano stood inches from her, so close she could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow, could smell the sandalwood of his cologne. He was even more intimidating up close, his presence commanding, dangerous, and yet careful, he said softly, his eyes searching her face with an expression she couldn't read. "You're new." Yes, sir. I'm so sorry, sir. It won't happen again." Zola stepped back quickly, her skin burning where his hands had touched her arms. Dante set the tray down himself, his movements controlled and precise. "You're the one from South Africa." "Yes, sir. Cape Town." "You speak English with a lovely accent." "I taught literature, sir, before." She trailed off, realizing she was speaking too much. For the first time in longer than he could remember, Dante felt something stir in his chest. Interest, curiosity. This woman with her warm skin, intelligent eyes, and nervous grace was nothing like the cold, calculating people who usually surrounded him. There was something genuine about her, something real. "What's your name?" "Zola, sir." "Zola," he repeated, the name rolling off his tongue. "It suits you." The moment stretched between them, charged with something neither of them could name. Then the study door burst open, and Isabella swept in, wearing a silk robe, her expression thunderous. "Dante, why are you— Who is she?" Isabella's eyes narrowed as she took in the scene, her fiancé standing close to a beautiful black woman, an intimacy in the air that made her blood boil. "The new maid," Dante said coolly, stepping away. She was delivering breakfast. Zola bowed quickly. "I'll go now, sir. Ma'am." She practically fled from the room, but she could feel Isabella's eyes burning into her back. The moment the door closed, Isabella rounded on Dante. "You were looking at her. Don't be ridiculous." "I know that look, Dante. I've been by your side for 3 years, waiting to be your wife. Don't you dare disrespect me with some common servant." Dante's jaw tightened. "Watch your tone, Isabella. I don't answer to you." "You will when we're married." She moved closer, running her hands up his chest. "Or have you forgotten our arrangement? Your father promised you to me. Our family's alliance is what keeps your syndicate strong. You need me." He moved her hands away. "I'm well aware of our arrangement. That doesn't give you permission to dictate who I speak to in my own home." Isabella's beautiful face twisted with rage for just a moment before she controlled herself. "Of course, darling. I'm just protective of what's mine." She kissed his cheek, but her mind was already spinning. That maid would have to go. Downstairs, Zola leaned against the wall, trying to calm her racing heart. What had just happened? The way Dante had looked at her, the way her body had responded to his proximity, it was dangerous, forbidden, impossible. "Did you deliver the tray?" Mrs. Higgins appeared, making Zola jump. "Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, I almost spilled, but—" "You didn't. Good. Now, the main ballroom needs to be cleaned from last night's party. Take Elena with you and get started." The next few weeks passed in a blur of work. Zola kept her head down just as Mrs. Higgins had instructed, but she couldn't help noticing things. The way Isabella treated the staff like dirt beneath her shoes. The way she would slip out late at night, returning hours later smelling of expensive wine and men's cologne that wasn't Dante's. The way the other staff members whispered about her, fear and resentment in their voices. "She's evil," Elena confided one evening as they folded laundry. The young Latina woman had become Zola's closest friend in the household. She had a girl fired last month because Mr. Romano complimented her cooking. And that girl, she disappeared. No one has seen her since. Zola's blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying be careful. Miss Isabella doesn't tolerate any woman she sees as a threat. And I've seen the way Mr. Romano watches you when he thinks no one is looking. He doesn't. He does, and so has she." As if summoned by their conversation, Mrs. Higgins appeared. "Zola, Miss Isabella has requested you specifically to serve at tonight's dinner. Wear your formal uniform." Elena's face went pale, but she said nothing. That evening, Zola stood in a formal dining room, her hands clasped behind her back as she waited to serve. Dante sat at the head of the massive table with Isabella on his right, and several dangerous-looking men in expensive suits filling the other seats. She recognized one of them from the news, a city councilman who had been accused of corruption but never charged. "Gentlemen," Dante said, his voice carrying the weight of authority, "to new partnerships and profitable ventures." They raised their glasses, but the atmosphere was tense. One of the men, a heavy-set associate with cold eyes, kept staring at Isabella with barely concealed lust. "So, Romano, when's the wedding?" the man asked. "Been engaged for 3 years now. Getting cold feet?" Dante's expression didn't change. "We'll marry when the time is right." "Vincent Moretti. That's my cousin you're keeping waiting." The man continued, clearly drunk. "If you don't want her, I'm sure others would be happy to." The temperature in the room dropped. Dante set down his glass with deliberate care. "Finish that sentence and it will be your last." Vincent laughed nervously. "Just joking, Romano, just joking." But Isabella's smile was strained, her humiliation evident. "More wine," she snapped at Zola. "Now." Oh, Zola moved forward to refill Isabella's glass, but as she poured, Isabella's hand suddenly jerked, knocking the bottle so that red wine splashed across the white tablecloth and across Dante's expensive suit. "You clumsy fool!" Isabella shrieked, jumping up. "Look what you've done! I'm so sorry, Zola began, but she knew it had been deliberate. She'd seen Isabella's hand move. "Sorry? You've ruined his suit. That's worth more than your entire existence." Isabella's hand flew out, slapping Zola across the face with a crack that echoed through the room. The men at the table looked away uncomfortably. This was not their business. But Dante stood up slowly, wine dripping from his jacket. "Isabella, step outside with me. Now." "But Dante, Now." His voice was quiet, but it held such menace that even Isabella blanched. She followed him out of the dining room, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor. Zola stood there, her cheek burning, tears threatening to fall. But she wouldn't cry. She wouldn't give Isabella that satisfaction. In the hallway, Dante turned on Isabella with barely controlled fury. "You deliberately caused that. She's incompetent." "Don't lie to me. I saw exactly what you did. And you will never strike one of my staff again. Do you understand?" Isabella's eyes widened. "You're defending her? A maid over me, your fiancée?" "I'm defending basic human decency, something you seem to have forgotten." "I haven't forgotten anything, Dante, including that I'm a Moretti. Your father arranged our marriage to unite our families. You need my family's connections, their territory. Without me, you're vulnerable to the other factions." "Is that a threat?" "It's a reality." She softened her tone, moving closer. "Why are we fighting? I love you, Dante. I've always loved you. I'm just jealous. Can you blame me? You barely touch me anymore. We barely talk. And then I see you looking at her. I don't look at her. You do, everyone sees it. And it makes me crazy because I've given you everything. My youth, my loyalty, 3 years of my life waiting to be your wife. What does she have that I don't? For a moment, Dante almost felt sorry for her. But he knew Isabella. Her love was possessive, controlling. It wasn't real love. It was ownership. Go home, Isabella. We'll discuss this later. She left in a fury, and Dante stood alone in the hallway, his thoughts troubled. Zola. The woman was becoming a problem, not because she'd done anything wrong, but because Isabella was right. He did watch her. He found himself timing his walks through the house to catch glimpses of her. Found himself wanting to hear her laugh, to see the way her eyes lit up when she spoke with the other staff. It was dangerous. It was foolish. It had to stop. But stopping was the last thing that happened. If you're hooked on this story, beautiful souls, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our intense romance stories. Drop a comment and tell me, are you Team Zola or are you curious about Isabella's next move? And smash that like button if you're loving this so far. Now, let's get back to the drama because things are about to get even more intense. 2 days later, Zola was summoned to Mrs. Higgins's office. The head housekeeper looked troubled. "You're being reassigned," Mrs. Higgins said. "Mr. Romano has requested you as his personal attendant." Zola's stomach dropped. "I don't understand." "Neither do I, child. But when the master requests something, we comply. You'll be responsible for his private quarters, his meals, his schedule. It's a promotion. Technically, more pay, but..." She shook her head. "Just be careful." Being Dante's personal attendant meant being in his presence for hours every day. It meant learning his routines, his preferences. It meant proximity that made Zola's heart race and her common sense scream warnings. The first morning, she knocked on his bedroom door at precisely 6 a.m. to wake him as instructed. "Enter," his voice called, rough with sleep. She pushed the door open to find him already awake, standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the Manhattan skyline. He wore only black silk pajama pants, his muscular back and shoulders on full display, covered in intricate tattoos. Eagles, daggers, Italian script she couldn't quite read from this distance. "Your morning tea, sir," she said quietly, setting the tray down and trying not to stare. "Zola." He turned to face her, and she saw more tattoos across his chest and scars, bullet wounds, knife wounds, evidence of a violent life. "Do you know why I requested you?" She kept her eyes down. "No, sir." "Look at me." Slowly she raised her eyes to his. The intensity there stole her breath. "I requested you because you're the only honest person in this house," Dante said quietly. "Everyone else wants something from me. Power, money, protection. But you just want to do your job and take care of your family, don't you?" "Yes, sir." "Tell me about them. Your family." It wasn't a request. So Zola found herself talking, telling him about her mother's illness, her younger siblings still in school, her dreams of saving enough money to go back and start her own school someday. Dante listened, really listened in a way no one had in so long. And when she finished, he said, "Your mother's medical bills, how much?" "Sir, I couldn't." "How much, Zola?" She named a figure that would take her years to save. Dante pulled out his phone, made a call, and within minutes, it was done. "Sir, I can't accept this." "Consider it a bonus for putting up with Isabella's behavior." And he moved closer. Close enough that she could see the flecks of amber in his dark eyes. "Consider it a gift from someone who enjoys your company." "This is wrong," Zola whispered, but she didn't move away. "You're engaged to a woman I don't love in an arrangement I never wanted. Tell me, Zola, do you believe in fate?" I believe in God. I believe in right and wrong. And this—" He reached out, his fingers barely grazing her cheek where Isabella had struck her. The bruise had faded, but the memory remained. "This feels wrong to you?" It felt like fire, like electricity, like something inevitable and terrifying and wonderful all at once. "I should go," Zola said, stepping back. "This can't happen, sir. I'm just a maid. You're you, and you're engaged, and I won't be the other woman. I won't betray another woman like that, no matter how terrible she is." Something like respect flickered in Dante's eyes. "You have more honor than most of the men in my organization." "Then honor my position, sir. Please." He nodded slowly. "As you wish. But Zola, this conversation isn't over. Whatever is between us, it's not going away just because we ignore it." He was right. Over the following weeks, the tension between them grew unbearable. Every morning when she brought his tea, their fingers would brush. Every evening when she turned down his bed, she could feel his eyes on her. They barely spoke, but the silence was loaded with everything unsaid. And Isabella noticed. "You think you're special, don't you?" Isabella cornered Zola in the wine cellar one afternoon, her voice venomous. "You think because you're exotic, different, that he'll actually choose you? You're a fantasy, that's all. A brief distraction." "I haven't done anything inappropriate with Mr. Romano," Zola said firmly, meeting Isabella's eyes. "Yet. But you want to. I can see it all over your face." Isabella stepped closer. "Let me tell you what will happen if you continue down this path. First, I'll destroy you. Then, I'll destroy your family. Yes, I know all about them. Your sick mother, your siblings. It would be so easy to make them disappear. One phone call." Zola's blood turned to ice. "You're evil. I'm in love and I protect what's mine." Isabella's smile was cruel. "So here's what you're going to do. You're going to quit. You're going to tell Mr. Romano that you're going back to South Africa for family reasons, and you're going to disappear from his life, or everyone you love will suffer. He'll know you threatened me." "Will he? I'll be so sympathetic, so understanding. Poor Dante, abandoned by yet another person he trusted. He'll turn to me for comfort. We'll finally set a wedding date, and you'll be forgotten." Before Zola could respond, the cellar door opened. Elena stood there, her phone in her hand, recording. "Got all of that?" Elena said grimly. "Every word." Isabella's face went white with rage. She lunged for the phone, but Elena was faster, dodging out of the cellar and running. Isabella chased her, screaming, and Zola followed, her heart pounding. They ran through the mansion corridors, staff members jumping out of the way. Elena burst into Dante's study without knocking. Isabella and Zola right behind her. Dante looked up from his desk where he'd been meeting with his second-in-command, a serious man named Silas. "What is the meaning of— Mr. Romano, you need to see this!" Elena gasped, holding out her phone. Isabella tried to grab it, but Silas stepped between them, his hand moving to the gun at his hip. "Everyone calm down." Dante took the phone and played the recording. His expression grew darker with every word. When it finished, the silence in the room was deafening. "Get out," he said quietly to Isabella. "Dante, let me explain." "Get out!" His roar shook the windows. "Before I forget that you're a woman and put a bullet between your eyes for threatening an innocent person under my protection." Isabella had never seen him like this. None of them had. She stumbled backward, tears streaming down her face. "You're going to regret this. My family." "Your family answers to me, not the other way around. Or have you forgotten who actually runs things? Now get out of my sight before I change my mind about letting you leave here breathing." Isabella fled, and Dante turned to Elena. "Send that recording to my private server. You did well. There will be a bonus in your next paycheck." He looked at Zola. You stay. Everyone else out." When they were alone, Dante moved around the desk, his eyes blazing. "Did she hurt you?" "No, sir. Just threats. Threats against your family. Threats to make you leave." He was standing in front of her now, and she could see the rage and something else, fear in his expression. "Were you going to do it? Were you going to leave without telling me?" I don't know. My family is now under my protection. I'm moving them here, all of them. Your mother will have the best doctors in New York. Your siblings will attend the best schools. They'll live in a secure apartment that Isabella can't touch." Zola's eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this?" "You know why." He reached out, cupping her face with both hands. "I'm done pretending, Zola. I'm done with arrangements and obligations and doing what's expected. You asked me to honor your position, and I tried. God knows I tried, but I can't anymore. Your engagement is over. I'll handle the fallout with her family. It won't be easy, but I don't care." His thumb brushed away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "Tell me you feel this too. Tell me I'm not alone in this madness." "You're not alone," Zola whispered. "But I'm scared. I'm so scared. Of me. Of what this means. Of what she'll do. Of losing myself in something too big, too impossible." "Nothing is impossible. I'm the most powerful man in the city, and you've brought me to my knees with just your smile. If that's not impossible, what is?" And then he was kissing her, and she was kissing him back, and the world fell away. It was desperate and tender and inevitable, and when they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, everything had changed. "I can't promise you a normal life," Dante said, resting his forehead against hers. "I can't promise you safety or peace. My world is dark, violent, but I can promise you that I will protect you with everything I have, that I will cherish you, that I will—" The study door exploded inward with a crash. Men in black tactical gear poured in, guns raised. At their center stood Vincent Moretti, Isabella's cousin, with a weapon pointed directly at Dante's head. "Step away from him, girl," Vincent said to Zola. "This doesn't concern you." Dante moved in front of Zola instantly, shielding her with his body. "Moretti, you've made a grave mistake." "Have I? I don't think so. See, my dear cousin came to me in tears, told me how you humiliated her, thrown her away for some African— The other families are already whispering. You're weak, Romano, distracted. And weakness in our world is blood in the water. So this is a coup. This is business. Kill you, marry you myself, absorb your territory. It's actually quite elegant." Silas's voice came through the door. "Mr. Romano, we're pinned down out here." Vincent smiled. "My men have secured the entire estate. Your guards are neutralized. It's just you, me, and a choice. Sign over your operations to me, and I'll let you live. You and your little pet can run away together, start a normal life. Refuse, and I'll kill you both." Zola's mind raced. She spotted it then, the brass letter opener on Dante's desk, just within reach. As Vincent monologued, she slowly moved her hand toward it. "You won't kill me," Dante said calmly. "Because the moment you do, the information I have on every dirty deal you've ever made goes to the FBI. It's on a dead man's switch." Vincent's confidence wavered. "You're bluffing." "Am I? You really want to take that chance?" In that moment of distraction, Zola grabbed the letter opener and threw it with all her strength. It wasn't a perfect throw, but it didn't need to be. It embedded in Vincent's shoulder, making him cry out and drop his gun. Dante moved like lightning, disarming the nearest man and using him as a shield. As gunfire erupted, he grabbed the fallen weapon and returned fire with deadly precision, taking down 2 more men. The study became a war zone. "Zola, the panic button under my desk. Press it now!" She dove for the desk as bullets whizzed overhead, her fingers finding the hidden button. Alarms blared throughout the mansion. Within seconds, she heard the thunder of footsteps. Dante's real security, the elite guards who had been off-site. The fight was brutal and brief. Moretti's men were good, but Romano's were better. When the smoke cleared, Vincent was on his knees, blood streaming from his shoulder wound, surrounded by bodies. Dante stood over him, gun pointed at his head. "You threatened what's mine. You know the penalty for that." "Wait," Vincent gasped. "Isabella, she set this up. She planned everything. She promised me your territory if I killed you." "I know." Dante's smile was cold. "Did you really think I didn't have surveillance throughout my own home? I've been recording everything since her little threat in the cellar. I have her on tape planning this coup with you. Conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder. The Syndicate Commission will eat her alive." He looked at Silas. "Take him to the basement. Let him contemplate his mistakes until I decide what to do with him." As they dragged Vincent away, Dante finally lowered his gun and turned to Zola. She was pale, shaking, pressed against his desk. He holstered his weapon and moved to her, pulling her into his arms. "It's over. You're safe." I've never seen anyone die before." Her voice was small, traumatized. "I know. I'm sorry you had to see that. Sorry you had to be part of this world." He held her tighter. "If you want to leave, I'll understand. I'll still protect your family, still help you, but I would never force you to stay in this darkness." Zola pulled back to look at him. This man, this dangerous, powerful man who had just killed without hesitation, was holding her like she was made of glass, who had protected her with his own body, who was offering her freedom even though it clearly hurt him. "I'm not leaving," she said firmly, "but we're doing this my way. No more killing unless there's absolutely no choice. No more violence for violence's sake. If I'm going to be part of your life, we're going to start changing things. Making your organization less about destruction and more about protection. Can you do that?" Dante stared at her in amazement. She had just survived a gunfight and was now lecturing him on morality. It should have annoyed him. Instead, he found himself falling even harder. "I can try. For you, I can try." "Good. Now, what about Isabella?" As if summoned by her name, Isabella appeared in the doorway. Her hair was wild, her makeup smeared, and she held a gun in trembling hands. "You ruined everything," she screamed at Zola. "He was mine, my future, and you took it all." "Put the gun down," Dante said calmly, stepping in front of Zola again. "No, I've given you everything. I've waited. I've been patient. I've played the perfect fiancé. And for what? To be replaced by some nobody from nowhere? She's nothing." "She's everything," Dante said quietly. "And you know what's sad, Isabella? You could have been too, if you'd shown any of the strength, compassion, and courage that she has. But all you ever cared about was power and status. You never loved me. You loved what I represented." "That's not true." Tears streamed down Isabella's face. "I love you. I've always loved you. You love the idea of me. There's a difference." He took a step toward her. "It's over, Isabella. The engagement is off. Your family will be contacted. And because I'm not completely without mercy, I'm giving you a choice. Leave New York tonight, start over somewhere else, and live. Or face the commission for your conspiracy with Vincent. You know what they'll do to you." You're really choosing her? A maid? You're throwing away our family's alliance for someone so beneath you?" "She's not beneath anyone," Dante said, his voice hard. "She's worth 10 of you, 100. Now make your choice." Isabella's hand shook on the gun. For a moment, Zola thought she might actually shoot. But then Isabella's face crumpled, and she dropped the weapon, sobbing. "I'll go, but you'll regret this, Dante. She'll never survive in your world. It will destroy her, and then you'll be alone, and you'll remember that I warned you." She fled, and this time she didn't come back. We're approaching the end of this incredible journey, beautiful souls. But before we get to the conclusion, if you've been glued to your screen this whole time, Show some love by hitting that like button. Comment below and tell me what you would do in Zola's position. Would you stay or would you go? And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We have so many more emotional stories coming your way. Now, let's see how this love story ends. 3 months later, the Romano estate looked different. The cold, austere mansion had been transformed with warmer colors, plants in the corridors, and most notably, laughter. Real, genuine laughter. Zola's mother and siblings had arrived from Cape Town 2 months ago. Mrs. Okafor was responding well to treatment, her condition improving thanks to New York's advanced medical care. The younger siblings were thriving in their new schools, and they'd even started learning Italian. But the biggest changes were in Dante himself. Under Zola's influence, he had begun restructuring his organization. The protection rackets became actual private security services. The loan operations became legitimate financial assistance for small businesses. It wasn't a complete transformation. He was still a force to be feared, but he was trying. The Syndicate Commission had not been pleased about the broken engagement, but when Dante presented evidence of the Moretti coup attempt, they'd had no choice but to sanction that family instead. Vincent Moretti had disappeared, and rumors said he was working off his debts in a shipping yard in New Jersey. Isabella had fled to Milan, according to intelligence reports, where she was burning through what remained of her personal trust fund. Zola stood in a garden, watching the sunset paint the Manhattan skyline in shades of gold and pink. She wore a simple white dress, her natural hair free and wild around her shoulders. She heard footsteps behind her and smiled. "You're thinking too hard," Dante said, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. "I can see the worry from here. Just wondering if this is all real. If I'll wake up back in Cape Town and this will all have been a dream. If this is a dream, we're both having it." He turned her to face him, and she saw it there in his eyes. The love that still amazed her every single day. This powerful, dangerous man looked at her like she hung the moon. "The commission wants to meet you formally next week," he said, "as my official partner, not fiancé." I was getting to that. Dante lowered himself to one knee, and Zola's heart stopped. He pulled out a small box, opening it to reveal a stunning ring, a deep red ruby surrounded by diamonds. "Zola Okafor, you terrify me. You've made me question everything I thought I knew about power, strength, and what matters in life. You've turned my world upside down in the best possible way. You've made me want to be better. Do better. I'm still not a good man. But with you, I'm trying to be. Will you marry me? Will you stay in this crazy, dangerous, beautiful life we're building together?" Zola looked down at him. This man who had defended her, protected her family, changed his entire organization for her. This man who was still learning how to love, but was trying so hard every single day. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, 1,000 times. Yes." He slipped the ring on her finger and stood, kissing her with a passion that still made her knees weak. When they broke apart, both laughing and crying, the garden lights flickered on, and Zola saw that they weren't alone. Mrs. Higgins stood there with the rest of the household staff, all of them applauding. Elena was crying happy tears. Silas gave a rare smile, and Zola's mother stood with her siblings, beaming with joy. "You knew?" Zola accused Dante, laughing. "I wanted everyone who matters to witness this moment, to see that the boss of New York has been brought to his knees by love." "By God's grace," Zola corrected gently. "I still believe that's what brought us together. Some divine plan that neither of us could have predicted." "Then I guess I should start believing too," Dante said softly. "Because only God could have sent me someone brave enough to throw a letter opener at an armed man to protect me. I had terrible aim. You were perfect." That night, They celebrated with a feast that brought together Zola's South African family and Dante's Italian-American household in a beautiful fusion of cultures. There was bobotie and lasagna on the same table, braai and meatballs, wine and amarula. It was chaotic and loud and absolutely perfect. Later, as Zola and Dante stood on the balcony of his penthouse bedroom, looking out over the city, she thought about the journey that had brought them here. From that first stumble with the breakfast tray, to a gunfight, to this moment of perfect peace. "What are you thinking now?" Dante asked, reading her expression. "That everyone feared the crime boss's fiancée," Zola said slowly, "until the new black maid changed everything." "You didn't just change everything. You became everything." He pulled her closer, his voice dropping to that deep rumble that still sent shivers through her. "You know what the men call you now? The Queen of New York. They respect you more than they ever respected Isabella because they see that I listen to you, that your word carries weight. I'm still just me. You're so much more than that. You're my conscience, my heart, my future." He paused, then added with a slight smile, "Though I have to admit, I do miss when you were just the beautiful maid I couldn't stop thinking about." "Oh, really?" Zola raised an eyebrow. "I could put the uniform back on sometime if you miss it that much." The heat that flared in Dante's eyes made her laugh. "Dangerous woman, you know exactly what you do to me." "I'm learning." She kissed him softly. "But Dante, I need you to promise me something. Anything. That will keep changing things, keep making your organization better, keep choosing mercy when we can. I know you'll always be who you are. I'm not asking you to become someone else, but promise me we'll always try to choose the light over the darkness. I promise, with you by my side, how could I choose anything else?" He was quiet for a moment, then said, "You know, my father built this empire on fear and blood. I inherited it and did the same because I didn't know any other way. But you're showing me that real power comes from loyalty earned, not fear imposed, from protecting people instead of exploiting them. Your father would be proud of the man you're becoming. I hope so, but honestly, the only person I want to make proud is you." They stood together as the city lights twinkled below. Two people from completely different worlds who had found something impossible and made it real. There would be challenges ahead. The commission wouldn't always approve of Dante's reforms, and there would be those who would see Zola as a weakness to exploit, but they would face it all together. "Tell me about our wedding," Zola said suddenly. "What do you want it to be like?" Dante considered. "Something that honors both our cultures, African and Italian traditions blended together like everything else in our life. And I want it to be a statement that the old ways are changing, that love matters more than arrangements, that power without heart is worthless." "You're getting poetic in your old age." "I'm 32, ancient," she teased, then grew serious. "Dante, do you ever regret it? Choosing me over the easy path?" He turned her to face him fully, his hands framing her face. "Listen to me, Zola. You are not the difficult path. You're the only path. Everything before you was just existing. This is living, and I will choose you every single day for the rest of my life, no matter what comes." As if the universe wanted to test that promise, Silas appeared on the balcony, his expression apologetic. "Mr. Romano, we have a situation. The Russo family is making moves on the docks." Dante sighed, but didn't let go of Zola. "Can it wait until morning?" "I suppose it could, but then it waits. Tonight, I'm exactly where I need to be." He looked at Zola. "See? Already choosing better?" Silas actually smiled. "Yes, sir. I'll handle the initial response and brief you in the morning." He bowed to Zola. "Congratulations again, future Mrs. Romano. Or should I say, Queen of New York." After he left, Zola shook her head in wonder. "I'm never going to get used to that." "You will." Because you were born for this, Zola. Not because of me, but because of who you are. Strong, compassionate, fierce when you need to be, gentle when you can be. You're going to help me reshape this entire organization into something better. We're going to reshape it together. Together, he agreed. They went back inside, where the celebration was still going strong. Zola's younger brother was teaching Elena a traditional dance, while Mrs. Okafor explained the intricacies of bobotie preparation to a fascinated Mrs. Higgins. It was chaotic and beautiful, and everything Zola had never dared to dream of. Elena caught sight of them and rushed over, pulling Zola into a hug. I'm so happy for you. I knew from that first day when you nearly spilled coffee on him that something special was happening. You did not. Okay, maybe not that first day, but definitely after the wine cellar incident when I recorded Isabella. I saw the way he looked when she threatened you. I'd never seen Mr. Romano scared before. He wasn't scared, Zola protested. He was terrified, Dante said quietly. The thought of losing you, of anything happening to you because of me, it's still my greatest fear. Before Zola could respond, her mother approached, tears in her eyes. My daughter, may I speak with you? They stepped aside, and Mrs. Okafor took Zola's hands. When you left Cape Town, I was so worried. Sending my baby girl to a foreign country to work as a maid, I thought it was the end of your dreams. Mama, let me finish. Now I see that it was the beginning. God had a plan all along. He brought you here not just to save our family, but to save that man's soul. I see how he looks at you, how he's changed. You've brought light into darkness. My daughter, your father would be so proud. Zola hugged her mother, crying now. I miss him so much. He's watching over you. I know it, and he's rejoicing. Mrs. Okafor pulled back, smiling through her tears. Now we need to start planning this wedding. A proper Afro-Italian fusion wedding. We'll need... Mama, we just got engaged an hour ago, which means we're already behind schedule. Dante watched them with a soft expression, and Silas sidled up to him with 2 glasses of scotch. Never thought I'd see the day. The great Dante Romano domesticated. Not domesticated, elevated. Dante took a glass. You should try it sometime. Maybe I will. If I can find a woman half as brave as yours. It takes courage to love a man like you. It takes courage to love at all. I think real love, not the arrangement kind, not the transactional kind. The kind that asks for nothing and gives everything. He paused. I sound ridiculous, don't I? You sound happy, sir. It's strange, but good. The party continued late into the night, and when everyone finally left, Zola and Dante found themselves alone again. The penthouse was quiet, peaceful in a way it had never been during Isabella's time. Tired? Dante asked, pulling Zola close. Exhausted, happy, overwhelmed, all of it. She looked up at him. Thank you. For what? For choosing me, for changing for me, for loving me the way you do. Zola, you have it backwards. Thank you for seeing something in me worth loving, for not running away when you saw the darkness, for believing I could be better. He kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. I love you. In Italian it's ti amo, in your language. Nadiakutanda, Zola finished in Xhosa, smiling. I love you too, in every language, in every way. They stood together in the quiet penthouse, 2 souls who had found each other against all odds, the New York crime boss and the South African maid who had changed everything. It wasn't a fairy tale. Their life would always have edges of danger, moments of darkness. But it was real, and it was theirs, and it was built on something stronger than any empire. It was built on love. Beautiful souls, we've reached the end of this incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in love that breaks barriers and changes lives, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment from this story. And please subscribe to the channel because we have so many more beautiful, emotional, dramatic stories coming your way. Share this with someone who loves a good romance. And remember, love knows no boundaries, no borders, no limits. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until next time, keep believing in love. Merry Christmas, and God bless you all.